Welcome to Love, Life, and Marriage with The Woods. I'm Saiko.
And I'm Sharon.
Welcome to our channel. And please do the following as you've been so faithfully doing before. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell at the bottom of the video. That way, when we post our videos, you'll be one of the first to view them. Also, please let people know about this, about our ministry. If you have been blessed and have been, encouraged by it, please share this channel with others. So that way they can share with others as well too. Reach one, teach one, the whole little, thing like that. Also, Teespring. We have our website, BCV merchandise on our Teespring website. The hats, the hoodies, the mugs, the masks for right now. What other things do we have? Socks?
Yeah, there's socks. I think there's, I want to say sweatpants too.
Sweatpants as well. We're gonna put our hats on there because we know there are those of you who love the BCV hats. They're not there yet. Can you tell them how and what's the process of that, so that way they can be aware on what we are doing through this new cycle?
So you have to still go over to Printful to get the hats, to order the hats. But they should be on Teespring really soon. I can't give an exact date yet, but yeah, if you want hats, please just inbox him and he can send you the link for Printful, and you can order your hats there. Hats there, yeah.
It's through, you can hit me up through SaikoWoods at yahoo.com on Facebook. All right, so this is part 2 of of our video discussion, personal, I guess you can say experience. Pretty much this is yours. I'm just basically here. So it's kind of like Love, Life, and Marriage with Sharon Woods. That's pretty much what it is. But we do things together, we experience things together, and so here we are together sharing our experiences and our lives with you, the viewers. So first part, we talked about a few things on why you decided to come forward and to share what has been on your heart regarding relationships and even the possible dissolution of those things. And so we wanted to continue on with that. But before we could do that, we have a person in the audience who needs to leave because we don't need this information to be into their ears. Excuse me, the person behind the camera, could you excuse yourself? We're going to be talking about some personal issues here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Come back in about 25.
Yeah. There we go. See, and we're back. So, yeah, share with the audience again there what was on your mind, and we're going to delve a little bit deeper into what we had left off on in part 1. It's like that now. That's what we called it.
Yes.
It's like that now. And really, that's what my wife wanted to call it anyway. I was like, then I was like, you know what? It's her story. It's her experience. This is how she sees it. This is how she has, I guess you can say, deduced it and concluded it on what she had seen and how things have transpired in her relationships with individuals or this particular individual. Then now they want to, take that freedom away from her like that. So we wanted to, I guess, pick up where we left off there regarding your relationship and how this has affected you and why you're deciding to come forward and to share and to help others as well. We talked about, what happens when relationships, go south and when it goes downhill is because of unmet expectations that were not expressed.
Right.
And if they're not expressed, you cannot hold an individual or individuals accountable to commit to those things.
We're not mind readers.
We're not mind readers. And so the second thing we talked about is about assumptions, assuming things about people. And most of those times it's assuming the worst. It's assuming the worst. It's never really rare is it an occurrence where people are assuming the best. Well, maybe the reason why the person didn't come, maybe something had happened. And you mentioned that in the last video. You mentioned how, the reason why you had planned to attend this particular engagement and event, but was not able to, come in prior to it, I guess actually going on because there was a prior emergency that took precedence.
Right.
That was far more important.
Yes.
In your mind and in our minds and in our relationships with this individual and their family that took precedent over this gathering and this event for you. So, and you mentioned that, but I think something else that you had mentioned and shared with me was that same individual that you had helped sent you a message.
Oh yeah.
Sent you a message, and you weren't even expecting this, right?
Nope.
You got that a week prior to us recording, maybe 2 weeks now going forward as we record these videos. But you received that message from that same individual that contacted us needing help, and it was an emergency. It wasn't this, hey,
I want to go out on the
date.
Yeah,
it wasn't that. It was a medical emergency that had needed our attention, and we believe this is something that my wife and I we hold to. We don't profess to have lots of money. We don't profess to have lots of fortune and things like that. But what we do have that we believe is invaluable is our love and commitment to genuine friendships. And so, when there's a need and we can meet it, whatever that need is, whether it is financial, whether it is just being a listening ear, whether it is coming alongside to help bearing a burden, we strive to do that. And in this situation and in this instance, there was a need that was brought to our attention. We decided to meet it because we could meet it. And so you didn't even notice until, later that this individual, a year later, that this individual, sent you a message and thanked you and I for our support in helping their family. You wanted to talk about that a little bit? Because I think this ties into the whole situation that, there wasn't even an understanding to say, I was expecting for you to come, or I was expecting for you to do this, and you didn't. And what happened? I don't believe you were given that opportunity to even.
No, there was no what happened.
Right. So I'm saying, so
what happened.
Okay, so you weren't even given an opportunity to even explain. Okay.
No. So again, we're back here talking about the disillusion, I guess, of a friendship, a 30+ year friendship. Okay. That I thought, was something. Obviously, I thought it was more than what it was. But hey, you live and you learn. But anyway, so yeah, you were talking about how I got a text message that was really encouraging to you and I. And I can read it if you want.
Go ahead. I mean, you might as well. If you got a few minutes, without, you don't have to give the person's name. I mean, if they watch it, they'll know who they are. But yeah. And the reason why we're sharing this and just kind of like just giving you all a better understanding on the things that we deal with and the things that we go through and our, relationships with people when it comes to, helping others and not even expecting anything in return. We do it because we want to, and because we have a love and appreciation for other people. So you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it says, and this is from the friend that we actually helped.
And you're not mentioning that individual's name or their spouse's name. Go ahead.
It says, "Good morning, Sharon. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you and your family. A year ago today, my husband was in the hospital battling pneumonia, and you all took such sweet care of our girl. As a mother, I know you understand the gratitude and the relief I feel to know my baby is in a safe and loving place when she is with your family. Thank you for loving her, protecting her, pouring into her, allowing her to be, in essence, the fifth Woods girl. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you for all your prayers, calls, texts to support us, to check on us. I truly appreciate you and wanted you to know that. God bless you and your family."
Yeah. So, and again, this was the family that we had helped, that my wife had cared for their daughter while they needed to tend to a family emergency that weekend. So. And it ties into what I had mentioned before in the first video, in part 1. He who gives an answer before he or she hears is a falling to shame unto them. When you assume, even Jesus talks about, passing judgment. Do not judge based on appearance, John 7:24, but judge according to righteous judgment. So if we don't have all the right facts, we're not going to have a right judgment on anything or anyone. And it's unfair to the individual or individuals that you are putting your judgment on if you do not have all the information.
Right.
And if you have an expectation that is not clearly expressed, and if that expectation has not been agreed to be fulfilled outside of any external circumstances that they themselves can control, then to expect more from individuals or expect more from others and then not communicate or express it, that individual or those people are not at fault. You are. And again, what it causes is people to walk on eggshells. What it causes for people to wonder, okay, can I even be myself? Can I even, what if I don't? Or what if I'm not able to fulfill this? Or what if I'm not able to commit to this? Or are you saying I'm not going to be your friend? And so you mentioned that in the first video about some hurtful things that were said in the message.
Yep.
And how did it affect you? How are you responding to it now? I know you say you plan on responding to the person later. But you chose not to do it, at that moment, because to do it, would have been sin. You weren't in the right place. You weren't in the right, frame of mind spiritually. So you didn't want to say anything that you would have to, regret, being in the flesh. So, if you want to share those things, you can. You don't have to go to any intimate details about anything, but just to give the viewers and the audience, I guess an understanding of that, something as petty as preferences can destroy sincere and genuine relationships. And I think a lot of times that is what happens to a lot of people. Petty preferences, petty issues have been elevated as the principal issue or the primary thing when it shouldn't be. If we're to consider others as more important than ourselves, then how would I like it if someone were to do to me what I'm doing to another individual or to them? So I just believe that needs to be understood, for those who may be experiencing these kind of relationships. So, I mean, what did you want to, what did you want to share? What is your?
I'll just share a few excerpts of, I'll just touch on a few things. Mm-hmm. And this is in the first part of the inbox that I received. And again, let me just put this out there. I'm not sharing this information to quote unquote put anybody out on blast, because I'm not saying anybody's name.
Right.
Secondly, I'm bringing this up now because, like we said in the first video, I don't know who else may be out there who may be dealing with this, who may have gone through this and didn't know how to deal with it. And there could possibly be somebody who's right in the thick of it, just like I am. So this is what we believe that God has called us to do.
Right.
So that's why we're sharing it tonight or this evening, because we want to help as many people as we possibly can. And not only, we don't give per se our opinions about things, we try to give people biblical advice. And everything that we do, everything that we answer, respond to, we give it through a biblical lens. We run it through God's word to make sure that it lines up with what he says, because what he says matters.
Right.
Not how we feel,
right,
not what we desire, but what the Lord desires and what his word commands us to do.
Yeah. Right.
So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
Let's see. She first started talking about, right off the bat, went into some disagreement that you and her had over a political issue.
Right, which has been a lot. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I've been getting into a lot of political discourse and debate and disagreement with people on social media, on my Facebook page, on Twitter, on Instagram. We're in election season, so those things happen. So, you know, it could be anybody.
Right. And honestly, I didn't really look at it as a huge disagreement. She made a comment and, you know, you didn't even respond to it. You left it alone.
I didn't even think anything about it. I didn't even realize it was an issue, to be honest with you, because I've been, you know, I get this, I go through so many comments, it's not even, you know, it's not even funny, man. It's a lot. But I didn't even think anything about it, didn't even give it a second thought. But I guess this person did, so.
Yeah, and so she says, for the record, if you go back and look at my communication, I felt like I didn't know the person who was making all those wonderful comments about Trump. She goes on to talk about that.
Yeah, I was about Trump.
And talking about how we were talking about, we made some comment about Nancy Pelosi. I don't know.
Basically, it was a political issue that got personal. Not on my part.
It was taken personal.
It was taken personally. Yeah, a political disagreement that was taken personally, though I did nothing to personally offend anybody sinfully. So again, this is why I said and mentioned about it being petty preferences. I guess let me help I guess speed this up a little bit, because I don't want to go too far long into this video. There were things that were stated that at the first video you mentioned about the issue being about me, and it seems to be about me, but she made statements about you being different. You changed. You're becoming more like me, or some to that effect. What was that? I mean,
I don't know. It was more defensive. That's what it was.
All right.
Yeah, because I think maybe about a year ago, I made a post that said, she said, you started making comments like, somebody's not friends with my husband, then they're not friends with me. And then she said, you even started talking about people apologizing to your husband because they were attacking him for his faith.
So can we just touch that for a second before we go on? Here's the philosophy in our marriage and in our house. If you have an issue with my wife, then you have an issue with me. And really the reason for that conclusion to be drawn and for our conviction to be where it is today and have been that way since day one, it's simple. Because we're one flesh.
Right. What affects you affects me. What affects me affects you. It's
simple. I mean, it's not that deep for us to even have to discuss this even further. If you're doing something to her, you're doing it to me. If you're blocking her, you might as well block me. And vice versa, because we're one. Now, I understand if there's issues, or if maybe I have a lot of posts that come through your timeline. I think that's different, because I don't know if you're doing that, right? So if there's a lot of posts coming through your timeline and my name is attached to it, I can understand a person even unfollowing or whatever. You do what you want to do on your page. You do what you want to do on your social media platform. That's you. But the moment that you tell someone, I blocked your husband, or I blocked your wife, or I unfriended your husband, or I unfriended your wife, most spouses, most couples are going to say that I know. They're going to say, okay, why? What's the reason? I mean, did they do something wrong? And so if the reason is for sin, I would think a person that's understanding biblically how sin can affect relationships if not confessed and repented of. But if it's petty, and if it's issues that basically you're just trying to fault find, then I know most couples that I know, they say, okay, well, let me help you. I'm unfriending you too.
Right.
It's just, for me, that's simple. So just to say that, now you can handle your relationships how you want to handle it. We're just telling you how we do. How we get down in the Woods household. And we've been that way. So when my wife says, if you got a problem with my husband or this and that, do you have a problem with me or what? We mean that. And anybody who knows us know that we mean that, because we've done that before and we put that on our page and our posts many times.
And that particular post, I remember that And I know what was going on during that time.
I don't.
I remember what was going on at that
Okay.
time. It was somebody else that
Okay.
we were dealing with.
Okay. Probably so. And if it was, and I think I'm gonna have a vague memory of it, but
Yeah.
either way it goes, I'm like, okay, what's the problem? So, so that one was an issue. And again, you haven't responded yet because you wanted to give time to to get your thoughts together. But the reason why you're doing it today is because we wanted to share our experience.
Right.
We wanted to share our thoughts about it. And so also, biblically speaking, Matthew 5, if you know that your brother or sister has an issue with you, you go to your brother and your sister. But also that if that person has done something to you, Matthew 18, you to go to that individual. So
Clear as day.
it's clear as day. It's both and. It ain't just either or. But it has to be because of sin. See, that's
Not
the
because
issue.
something you
Not
didn't
because not because of what I didn't like, what I didn't prefer, or you didn't do it my way, or I don't really care for your spouse's or your husband or wife's attitude, or all those things are personal perceptions and petty preferences.
And I made that clear in my
Yeah,
post last
absolutely.
year.
Yep.
I said those very words
Yep.
in my post
Yep.
last year.
Yes.
A year ago.
A year ago. Which basically showed that the person has been reading and watching your post, reading and watching mine,
But hadn't said anything.
but hadn't said anything until now.
And
until
this was
now.
the thing that really got to me. Sharon, I'm sorry, but the awesome qualities that I used to admire about you are no longer there. You have totally transformed into someone who I feel have to always be on the defense.
I don't know how you want to explain that or respond to that. You can.
Always.
Yeah, those extremes. And that's another. So here's a third thing. Maybe on the third thing about this whole situation and dealing with people like that, and why we say it is like that now. Third thing, watch out for people who always go to extremes. You always say this. You never do that. Every time you do this or all that, those are extreme statements. So now what we do is we ask for specific examples.
Exactly.
What do you mean? You always, or you have done this, or you never? Give me some examples. Make it clear now.
When am I always on the defense?
Right. And now, if you mean by always on the defense, when someone is always coming at me or always responding and trying to attack me, then yes, she's going to come to my defense, and I'm going to come to her defense, because again, we're one flesh. But if that's what you see, how is that wrong? How is that a sin? But she's making accusations about you that are not accurate.
Right. Because I'm going to defend my husband as long as it's not sin. And I said that as well.
And we made that public then. And
I've made that perfectly clear to people. But people hear what they want to hear and see what they want to see.
I'm going to always defend my wife insofar as she's standing on the word of God. When she sins publicly, I'm going to speak out
and I
against
would
it.
never tell you when you do something wrong.
That was also another accusation. See, these are things, and this reminds me of, this reminds me of, and I'm not saying this to compare ourselves to people in their relationships, but I'm giving an example that it happens to other people in their relationships. Monique and Sydney.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That just came to me.
Yes.
That just came to me.
They
The
get
whole
it
Lee
all the
Daniels
time.
situation
Yeah.
and all the people coming after them. Say what you want to say about them.
Yep.
Say what you want to say about them. We're not with the open marriage thing. Ain't nobody getting this but me, and vice versa, right? But you can't knock them for when the fit hit the shan. They stand up for each other.
Each other. That's right.
And they're going to come to each other's aid and support and rescue, hands down. Doesn't matter who it is.
And let me say this while I'm thinking about it. First of all, what a wise woman would do, a wise, godly woman would do, you are not going to ever correct your husband on a public platform. You will correct your husband at home, privately, and have that discussion with him about what it is you think he did or what somebody else may think he did.
Right. Right. Now that's separate from public issues versus private
when the issues are right, exactly.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know, because I want anybody to say she contradicting herself. No, ain't no contradiction. She's talking about if this situation here, like it's been brought to your attention, you're not gonna come out and blast me because somebody mentioned it to you privately.
Right.
You're gonna deal with it privately when it's private, publicly when it's public. That's what we see in scripture, by the way. But go ahead.
And had this person came to me.
Okay.
Had this person came to me and said, Sharon, I don't really like the way your husband does this, that, and the other. I could have addressed it at that time. But I was not afforded that opportunity.
Right.
And a lot of things could have been cleared up.
Right.
Like the G. Craig thing.
Yeah.
Why was
that even meant? I mean, why? And tie that in.
Because this person said that you kept talking about this person.
Right.
Like every time they went on Facebook, they saw you talking about this person.
And that's true.
That's
during
true.
that time, during that season, yeah. And your friend, let me help you with this one too. Your friend who you went to get their perspective and hear their advice regarding this individual's statement. What did they tell you about me?
When I went to my other friend,
who you've been knowing for 20-some years,
for a while,
same person you mentioned in part one.
And I asked her about my husband, and this is what she told me. She said, now, you know that Saiko and I have had our differences. We disagree on certain things. She said, but number one, Saiko has never been disrespectful to me, and I will never be disrespectful to him. That's your husband. She said, I respect him. However, she also said this. I made a post probably about a year ago. It may have been longer. About my husband's calling and what his calling is actually is. And then it was explained. Did I make that post or did you make it?
I think she told you that I made it about a watchman.
Yeah, you probably made it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he made it clear about what God has called him to do. My husband is a watchman. Everybody may not like it. Everybody may not understand it. But what this friend did, she went and researched what a watchman is and what a watchman does. And she told me during our conversation that after she researched it, she understood what my husband does. And she understood why he does what he does. She said that gave her a whole new level of respect for him after she learned about what a watchman is and what a watchman does. That's what a person is supposed to do. Go study. Go read. Before you accuse somebody of what you think they're doing, you have no clue what went on for those whole 8, 9, 10 months.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
About G. Craig.
Yeah. Don't even know the people that came.
And how many lives were affected.
Right. And still are reeling from that man's quote unquote ministry.
Right.
Don't even know the impetus on what caused me to come out and expose this man. But the results and the fruit of it, people have left. People have found other sound biblical churches to go to. We have matter of fact, we went to Dallas to meet the people. Met a lot of people. And some of y'all may have seen the video.
Those people that he helped, we went and met them personally. But because you don't ask those kinds of questions, again, you assumed things.
Because I've had people come to me and say, hey man, I'm noticing, you always putting these posts up, but who does this guy? And they asked the question. They didn't. Now you had some that would do the same thing your friend did. Yeah. But for the most part, others was like, man, what's going on? This, that. And I would explain to them.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh man, really? That's praying for you, bro. Praying for you, Doc. Continue to do what you're doing, man. Man, we need people like that. When you ask questions instead of assume, Jesus says, Paul says rather, do not go on passing judgment before the time.
Yeah.
But wait until the Lord returns, who will reveal the motives of men's hearts. So a lot of people want to give their understanding and to give their opinion about the motives of another individual. And God says, that's not your place.
Right.
That's not my place to tell you, oh, I know why you did this. You don't know why a person does what they do unless they tell you what they've done.
Right.
Or until those actions contradict or go in direct opposition to what they have said.
Right.
So, when you have those kinds of situations, I'm like, man, to my knowledge, I don't have an issue with this person, but apparently this person has an issue with me. Unfortunately, you feel that this has been more of a relationship of toleration. That's unfortunate because I don't tolerate them. Respect them, love them, have no problem with her, have no problem with her spouse, have no problem with their family or nothing like that. But I understand what God has called me to do, and I would hope and pray that they understand what God has called them to do. And I believe when people focus on what God has called them to do, and you mentioned about, men, if you're not grounded and rooted in the word, or if you're a beta male, then running with alphas is not going to work with you. No. It's just not going to go well.
Nope.
I was raised by an alpha. I'm an alpha. My sons are alphas. So it's not this, trying to be something that we're not. I am who I am. That's just it. I mean, God made me to be the way that he's called me to be. My style and my personality, my persona, the way I present truth, the way I carry myself, that's for people who gravitate to that.
Right.
So, if my wife appreciates me and accepts me, God accepts me, most importantly, then those that he's brought in my life and that he's drawing to what he's called me to do, then those are the people that I'm called to reach and I'm called to, right. to affect. But when you have these things that seem more personal, then, our children were brought up.
Yes.
For me, that's it. When you involve people's children in situations that have nothing to do with grown men and women that you claim that you love and that you claim that you consider to be family to you, and you could have helped or you could assist and take some of the burden and weight off, but you don't because of your issue with me. That goes beyond the line. I mean, so, I know where I am with it. I'm done when it comes to that kind of stuff. Because I know we've helped plenty of people that God has called us to help. Yeah. Whether it was money, whether it is our time and giving counsel. I mean, we spend hours and hours with people over the phone. Yep. And we could be doing other stuff, taking time away from our children, taking the time away from our family, taking time away from ourselves. I mean, we got to go to work in the morning. We be tired, but we on the phone talking to people, helping people. And it's not for the purpose of getting anything in return from it. Because if I love you, I'll do it because I care, because I want to see what, I want to put your best interests, and I want to do what is in the best interest of you. I'm not doing it to get anything in return. Right. And love doesn't expect anything in return. True agape love doesn't. But that quid pro quo stuff, yeah, you do for me, I do for you. No, that's not how that goes.
I think that is the basis of the type of relationship with me.
But you have done things. You have done things for this person. You have been there for that. So it's not that you have not done anything. But you can't do for people who don't express what they would like to have done for them.
Right.
I would never put you in that situation. I would never allow anybody to have you in a relationship with them where they feel that they have that type of control or that type of expectation or desire over you. Mm-hmm. That ain't happening. God will do it with you. I'm not gonna let man do it. Mm-hmm. So, I think that at the end of the day, you have decisions to make. All of us do.
Right.
You know, what kind of relationships do you want to have with people? Children are off limits, man. Children are off limits, especially when you communicate to our children that if they need anything, come to them. When they need your help or they need help, come to them. And then when there's a need, you don't do it because of the person's father or because of the person's mother. And then you communicate that in a message that you could have done this, but you didn't because, you know, Seiko seems to have everything, you know, all together, all figured out. I'm just saying, like, wow, I just, you know, and so I'm not angry. I'm not upset about it. It's unfortunate, but I know people who have gone through situations with individuals like that. Mm-hmm. We talked about B-Mac in part one. You know, we mentioned, you know, Monique and Sydney. We mentioned them, you know. So we're saved and unsaved. People are affected by other people and their expectations and the lack thereof. And when those expectations are not expressed, and then you treat that person as though they did commit to that expectation, it causes problems. It causes huge problems. So, you know, what are your thoughts? Any final thoughts? Anything you wanted to, you know, share? Ideas, advice, conclusions? You know.
It's just really heartbreaking to watch a friendship dissolve over preferences.
Yeah.
I would just say, do not put those kinds of expectations on people that you consider friends. Do not expect people that you consider friends to I guess bow down to what your preferences are.
Yeah.
You know, and whether they're expressed or not, those are your preferences.
Right.
Not the other person's. And like I've said before, I don't submit to anybody else's preferences.
Right.
Other than my husband's. So, you know, you put these unreachable, unobtainable measures on people that you expect them to live by in your head, but they haven't been communicated.
Right. Yeah.
And then when those desires are not met, you walk around with anger and bitterness and resentment. And then you get the overflow from something else that didn't even have anything to do with it.
Right. Totally unrelated.
You know, that was all unrelated.
Yeah.
But what it boiled down to was my husband.
But you mentioned earlier too, and we'll close with this. But you mentioned earlier in another video about the tea bag. You know,
I did.
situations. You know, bring out what's in you.
Yep.
So it's not the individual that did it. It's just God allowed that individual in that circumstance, in that situation, to bring out what was already in your heart.
It was in the heart.
So when life bumps up against you, when life becomes heated, then what's in your tea bag, what's in your heart, spills out. It comes out. It emerges. And unfortunately, this is not the first relationship or situation we've been involved in where people, what they really feel about you, have come out and have come up to the surface.
Yeah.
But, you know, God's allowing these things to teach us and to show us. You know, we examine ourselves as well. We get advice and insight from those that we trust and respect. And we have people in our lives that tell us the truth. Yeah. And those are the ones we value, even if it hurts. Because sometimes the truth does hurt. But I'd rather be hurt by truth than to be coddled and pampered by a lie.
Right.
But, you know, we wanted to share this, you know, this video and to share our experience, particularly my wife's experience, with those of you, particularly, ladies, sisters, women that may be watching this, dealing with this type of thing, dealing with relationships like that. What are your thoughts about that? Leave your comments in the description, or in the comment section rather below. And be praying for us. Be praying for us. Pray that God would give us wisdom on how we want to proceed. But like we said in the first video, some things, when there are offenses, some offenses are irreparable. Some things you can't get back. Some things you may lose. And when it comes to relationships and friendships are not always obligational.
Right.
In fact, no friendship is obligational. Friendships are based on privilege. Nobody has a right to be your friend. And you don't have the right to be anybody else's friend. It comes through trust. It comes through respect. It even comes through maturity. Mm-hmm. And all those things, those three things, if you don't have that, you have no genuine friendship. But we thank God that, he doesn't treat us, like we treat others. But God has placed us in relationships with other individuals to grow us and to become more and more like him.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. We don't want people to become like us. We want people to become like Christ.
And it's unfortunate that, as you grow and mature in Christ and in his word, everybody else doesn't do that.
Yeah. Some people got to leave behind.
Yeah.
Some people got to leave behind. And this may be one of them. And to be honest with you, it is what it is. We make no apologies where God has placed us. And we don't brag as though we've arrived.
Right.
But we're not going to apologize where God has taken us either. Everybody has a station in their life. So be faithful in the station that God has called you to be. Be committed to what God has called you to commit to. And love and cherish and respect the relationships that God has given to you as a stewardship. Cannot stress that enough.
Yeah.
Relationships are not always easy, especially those good, godly, precious relationships. You want to hold on to those for dear life, because not too many people you can have in your life that you can share and bear burdens with and disrobe yourself with. And sometimes you can disrobe yourself to people and they turn on you. Mm-hmm. And it can be a hurting thing. But God allows those things to happen in our lives to make us better and not bitter. So, but anyway, we're going to shut it down here.
Yeah.
We're going to cut it here. Again, please, if you'd like to reach out to us, email address, SaikoWoods@yahoo.com for the missus.
SRENA Woods 36@yahoo.com.
Again, also hit the Teespring link at the bottom in the description comments below. You can leave comments there. Description box, you can hit the link for the Teespring merchandise. Again, thank you for your support. Keep us in your prayers. You like to support the ministry financially, you can do that as well through the PayPal and through the Cash App link. And until next time, hey, one more thing also. Go vote if you're able to vote and are knowledgeable in the issues to vote. If you are wanting to vote, you should vote. But if you're a Christian, vote biblically. All right? Love you all. Until next time.
Bye.